Kendrick Lamar and SZA's Grand National Tour stop at Oracle Park in San Francisco on May 29, 2025. The streets around Oracle Park had a pulse of their own, long before a single beat dropped inside the stadium. As fog rolled in from the bay and the sun dipped behind the skyline, a kinetic energy took hold of the city, one only reserved for moments that feel too large for even time to contain. It wasn't just another tour stop. It was a declaration, a coronation, a full-circle arrival. Kendrick Lamar, in the wake of dismantling a global superstar in real time, wasn't merely celebrating. He was ascending. And he brought SZA with him. Welcome to celebrity rap life, where the red carpets never roll up and the spotlight never fades. The rewards are legendary. Because in celebrity rap life, every downfall can become a comeback, and every headline tells a deeper story. Today, we're diving into a world where fame meets fire and headlines write themselves. The Grand National Tour didn't just land in San Francisco, it erupted. On a Thursday night that felt more like the finale of a summer blockbuster than a concert, over 40,000 fans flooded Oracle Park, each one bracing for a spectacle, yet still unprepared for what they were about to witness. This was not just a concert. It was an exhibition of dominance, a testament to resilience. A blending of two voices that defined a generation. DJ Mustard set the tone, SZA colored the evening in earthy soul, and Kendrick Lamar burned it into memory. By the time DJ Mustard took to the decks at twilight, the crowd was already electric. His warm-up wasn't a formality, it was a celebration of the culture. Spinning through his catalog of hits, he kept energy levels high with familiar bangers like Who Do You Love?, Ballin', and a cheeky drop of Party in the USA that had even the most stoic hip-hop heads waving their arms and singing along. Mustard, knowing exactly how to work a crowd of this size, called for shoulders to sway, hands to rise, and the stadium obeyed like a single organism. His set was brief but impactful, teeing up what would become a marathon of high-level musical execution. When the lights finally dropped and the screen came alive with animated imagery of spinning Grand National wheels, the screams reached a deafening pitch. Then came the flames. Towering jets of fire bursting upward as the sound of whacked-out murals exploded from the speakers. Kendrick appeared not center stage, but stepping out of the Buick Grand National that sat on an elevated turntable, revving its engine in sync with the bass. Dressed in all black, his silhouette cut against a red backdrop as fireworks arched over the sky. "I go by the name K. Kendrick Lamar," he announced with a smirk. "This is the Grand National Tour, and we in the Bay." The reaction was seismic. The first act was a study in momentum. He plowed through songs like King Kunta, DNA, and TV Off, delivering each line with the sharpened precision of someone fully aware of their moment in history. The lighting rig exploded in strobes while LED panels shifted constantly, mimicking motion blur, cityscapes, and flames. The car on stage wasn't just a prop, it was a moving character in the story, occasionally spinning, occasionally hoisted high like a trophy. SZA emerged soon after, gracefully ascending onto a raised platform covered in ivy and glowing with forest tones. Her entrance on 30 for 30 felt like a spiritual counterbalance to Kendrick's fury. Dressed in a flowing green ensemble, she looked ethereal, yet grounded. Her vocals pierced through the air on Love Galore, and the lush instrumentation brought the crowd into a new emotional register. The weekend followed with fans harmonizing every word, phone flashlights lighting up like stars across the ballpark. The two artists used their set like a relay race, Kendrick handing off to SZA, then returning moments later to build on her energy. This wasn't a solo tour with a featured guest. It was a conversation. They moved seamlessly between their worlds, stitching verses and choruses into a fabric that felt entirely new. At times they met center stage to duet, their chemistry undeniable and their voices pushing and pulling like waves in tide. Set changes were brisk and smooth, as massive LED panels split open and revealed an ever-morphing stage. One moment it was an empty street under halogen lights, the next it was a garden crawling with vines and dancers moving like insects beneath SZA's feet. The entire floor around the stage had been converted into a diamond-shaped pit, with a runway surrounding it where Kendrick and SZA would stalk from corner to corner, locking eyes with fans, commanding each square foot like seasoned generals. Kendrick's second set shifted into a new gear. Opening with Hey Now, his pace quickened and the choreography grew sharper, echoing some of the best moments from his Super Bowl halftime show. Reincarnated triggered another round of pyrotechnics, while the crowd chanted along. When Humble dropped, the stadium erupted into a full-body response, everyone from the nosebleeds to the rail jumping, shouting, dancing. Backseat freestyle turned it up another notch, with Lamar delivering each bar with venom, only pausing to let the crowd scream his punchlines back at him. Then came a moment of pure creative insanity, Mad City, blended with Anita Baker's Sweet Love. The mashup shouldn't have worked, but it did, and spectacularly so. Lamar's intensity juxtaposed with Baker's warmth was a jolt to the senses. It was both experimental and nostalgic. All Right followed, transforming the park into a massive call and response choir. At that point, the show felt like it had already peaked. It hadn't. I was just in my hometown, Kendrick told the crowd, but I had to come see the Bay. It was one of the few times he paused to speak. Throughout the night, his communication was mostly through the music. But he made it clear this stop meant something. He climbed atop the Grand National for Man at the Garden, spotlit under a dark sky as fog rolled through the stadium, then disappeared once more as the stage went black. SZA returned, this time seated beside a guitarist, her voice gliding over stripped-back arrangements. Her solo interlude featured deep cuts like Blind and fan favorites like Drew Barrymore. The quiet was intentional, offering a needed reprieve from the bombast of Kendrick's earlier set. But she didn't keep things mellow for long. Kill Bill turned the stage into a Pulp Fiction fantasy, complete with dancers in samurai-style costumes stalking the foliage. BMF and Kiss Me More brought the tempo back up, and by the time she reached Snooze, the entire stadium seemed to be humming. The best collaborative sequence came in their combined third act. Doves in the Wine was moody and haunting, and the way they circled one another during All the Stars felt almost choreographed in its emotional tension. They each took a corner of the stage's diamond catwalk, locking eyes across the expanse, drawing invisible lines of power. When they met at the frontmost corner, the explosion of cheers rivaled the earlier pyrotechnics. Then came Kendrick's final act. Emerging to a bass-heavy drop of Dodger Blue, a sly nod to his LA roots despite standing in Giants territory, he cracked a smile as the crowd playfully booed before losing their minds again. The visuals at this point were dialed all the way up. Drones lit up the sky in sync with the beat, creating patterns above the park. Then came the moment nearly everyone had been waiting for, N95. The crowd surged. Flames shot upward again. But it was what followed that made this night historic. Mustard, he shouted, and the famed DJ returned to the stage as Lamar launched into Not Like Us. It was no longer just a diss track, it had become an anthem. The crowd rapped along word for word, throwing their hands in the air to A Minor, and bouncing with infectious intensity. Fireworks, lasers, smoke, every visual element reached a peak. The song was no longer about Drake. It was about something much bigger, Lamar's undeniable dominance and connection with the people. After a pause for breath, Kendrick rolled into Luther and Gloria, both of which landed softer but were appreciated by diehards. The night felt complete. Still, there was one last image to leave with. SZA rejoined him, and together they climbed into the Grand National once more. The car rose slowly, spotlit against the night sky. The screen behind them played grainy home video clip studio sessions, old tour footage, black and white shots of Compton, New Jersey, and TDE's early days. It felt like a curtain call and a time capsule. As the music faded and the crowd screamed, they rode off, elevated above the stage, disappearing into a manufactured sunset. The lights came up, but no one moved. Not right away. The collective exhale was delayed, like everyone in Oracle Park needed a second to realize what they'd just experienced. It wasn't just Kendrick's tour. It wasn't just SZA's time. It was the moment both artists, arguably at the absolute peak of their powers, merged worlds and made the impossible feel effortless. For over 2.5 hours, the Grand National Tour wasn't just the best ticket in the city. It was the city. It was fire and fog and rhythm and roots. It was a masterclass in control, chaos, love, and legacy. In San Francisco, on a night few will forget, Kendrick Lamar and SZA didn't just perform. They reminded everyone watching that we are witnessing two of the greatest artists of their era, and they're not done yet. This story is far from over, and the truth is still unfolding. I want to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments. And if you don't want to miss the next twist, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next.